Okay.
Saw a video where a gentleman was talking about the Forbidden Cemetery back home. And he says that the guy who owns the land of the Forbidden Cemetery, he don't want any part of it or any part of this stuff. And so the sign is here for now, but we'll wait until his passing and we'll see about the next generation. Let me explain something. John Vance had nothing to do with what took place back there. That was not something he orchestrated. I was going to make this a short, but it's not going to be a short. So John didn't orchestrate that mess back there. Nobody ever had a problem going to the cemetery of Randolph and Sarah's 6 children and visiting the big monument that Joseph and Leonard McCoy bought. They paid for with their own money in honor of the 6 McCoy children. John Vance never had a problem with anybody coming up there and visiting those graves. You'll never see anybody say prior to Ron McCoy filing the lawsuit or prior to Ron McCoy wanting to run a bus up there and charge people. John let people look at that monument for free for years and years and years. Never had a problem with it. It was only when they were going to charge people money to go look at people's tombstone or monument. Where do we get that from? Does everything have to be about money? When they mentioned money, it wasn't even the bus or it was charging people to go on a tour of John's property. And it says here that he didn't want nothing to do with this stuff. That's not true. Sheila and I went there years and years and years ago. Mm-hmm. John was very much into the feud and feud history. This is the great-grandson of crazy Jim Vance, bad Jim Vance, Uncle Jim Vance. Call him what you will. That is the great-grandson of Jim Vance. Of course he knew about the feud from ancestors. Of course he was into the Hatfield-McCoy history and feud. He read Sheila and I a poem one time when we were there, a song. Yeah. And had he taken it somewhere, it would have been something, I believe, because it was a good poem, a good song. But after Ron McCoy filed a lawsuit, him and Bo McCoy, he just seemed to have lost interest and he didn't want to fight with people. He didn't throw the first punch. He didn't start that battle. He merely defended his property that he pays taxes on, that he pays the payment on. That's his property. Ron McCoy, I wish you all would go back to the beginning of our videos a couple of months ago and watch the one that says lawsuit, because we cover it real well. But at the end of the lawsuit, Ron McCoy says we won. The McCoys won. Bull crap. The McCoys didn't win nothing. McCoys never had a problem going to that cemetery. Nobody ever had a problem going to that cemetery or having to show an ID or tell your family history if he didn't know you. That was only after they filed the lawsuit. And John Vance won the lawsuit. He won. It's his property. He can do what he wants to with it. He lets them come and visit once or twice a year. That he could have stopped that had he wanted to, because it's his property. Now, I'm getting into the first video, but Ron McCoy says that it's family property, it's family graves. Man didn't know he was even related to the family till he was 35 years old. He's never been back there. If the property was so valuable to the McCoys, then why did they sell it in the beginning? Why? It wasn't until they seen this property could be commercialized and make money from, and then they decided to sue John Vance. So when you see comments like this, and wait till the man passes, and once he passes, then maybe the next generation will do something. I hope they don't. With people like this, with attitudes and personalities. Before you make comments like this against John Vance, you should research John Vance. And you should see what caused this. Now, people says that I seem to go after the Hatfields. Listen, this is 2 McCoys. And what they done is they took that McCoy name and they just took it to the limit. Because they had the surname McCoy, they milked it for everything they could. And they have sold that McCoy name out to the West Virginia Hatfields for any kind of grants they want or any kind of anything they want. Put that McCoy name on there. Again, you won't see a McCoy monument in West Virginia, of Randall McCoy or any other McCoy for that matter. You won't see any of that. But they want that McCoy name so they can add it to their grant forms and different things. Listen, guys, do your research before you comment and make comments like this. When the man passes, maybe it will, like you can't wait for the man to pass so maybe we can open up this graveyard. That's terrible. Terrible remark. When this man had nothing to do. This man didn't file a suit against nobody. This man and his wife were sued by two McCoys. Not Blackberry McCoys, not McCarr McCoys, not even West Virginia McCoys. This man and his wife were sued by a North Carolina McCoy and a Georgia McCoy that had never been back there until this feud movie and all this stuff came out, and then decided, hey, let's milk our names. I'm sorry, it started out going to be a short. A few minutes ago saw this video.
Yeah.
I saw this video on YouTube a while ago. It's been out for several months evidently, and I just missed it. And I thought, how sad for somebody to make a comment against. Listen, John Vance no doubt's got his faults, just like Fred McCoy or anybody else.
There's nobody perfect. No, not one.
We've all got our faults. I'm not saying he walks on water. I'm not saying he's an angel. But I'll tell you this, John Vance was on his heel, not bothering nobody, taking care of his own business. That cemetery used to be clean. That monument used to be clean. That pathway used to be mowed and weed eated. Did you see McCoy's up there doing it? No. Bo McCoy and Ron McCoy didn't come in from North Carolina and Georgia and go up there and weed eat that or mow it. John Vance mowed it and weed eat it for the McCoys and for anybody else that wanted to see it. So I'll be daggone. That's a sad remark for this person to make. She's motioning for me to calm down.
Yeah.
But you have to know these people. We know these people personally. We know John Vance personally and Barbara. I don't know Ron McCoy, never met him. I know he milked that Hatfield McCoy lawsuit for everything he could when it was really a Vance McCoy lawsuit. Had nothing to do with Hatfields. He says he'd have to be a marketing genius to get this kind of attention from filing a lawsuit over the cemetery. He is a marketing genius. He did get a bunch of attention from it. Then he wrote a book. He said he had no alternative motives, just to open the cemetery up to the family. His alternative motive was to open it for the Pike County Tourism to run a bus and charge people. His alternative motive was just exactly what he did. Research, reunion. I hate to plug his book, but read it. Reunion is the name of his book. They were having family reunions in Pike County and Mingo County, West Virginia, before this man was ever born. It wasn't like he had to come back there and have a Hatfield McCoy reunion. Half of us is related to each other. That's nonsense. Research your people. Before you make comments like this, research the people making those remarks. Research the people filing these lawsuits against innocent property owners. His property's up for sale, buy it. It's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We're not at the museum.
As you can see.
As you can see. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
When you see a remark and you know people, you grew up with these people. My dad used to work with John Vance in the mines. My dad worked with him in the coal mines for years and years. And Dad said John Vance was a hard worker. And I know my dad was. So it's wrong of people to get on these YouTube channels. Listen, I'll do it. Don't think I won't call you out. But if I do, I'll have something to go on. I'll try to do my research, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back on here and I'll apologize. But before I make a derogatory statement against these people like I do, I've got my proof and my ducks in a row. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. This man made a comment that when he passes, we'll see what happens with the next generation. I hope he never passes. I hope he lives forever. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Bye.